Affairs Minister Peter Dutton. He is in Sydney today. Before we get to your portfolio, can you believe another Extinction Rebellion protest is planned for today? Authorities really powerless to stop this happening day after day?
Laura, all I can tell you is that the mood in Brisbane from commuters and from people who are just wanting to go around the city about their business is red hot. I mean, people, even if they've got sympathy for some of the arguments of these people, they're putting themselves at complete odds with the broader public, and they're not bringing anyone along with their cause. In fact, I think they're isolating themselves. So I think for a lot of these people, it's about the protest, it's about the rebellion, and very little to do with the subject matter. So I hope the police lock as many of them up, and I hope the magistrates start sentencing some of these people, because they cost people thousands of dollars in their small businesses. They delay people from getting home to see their kids of an afternoon. And I think it's completely unacceptable.
To your portfolio now, you unveiled Mike Burgess as a new ASIO director yesterday. He says the threat to Australia from espionage and foreign interference is growing. Who's he talking about when it comes to state actors? Is it China?
Well, any state actors that might have an interest in Australia. I mean, we've been very clear before in relation to Russian activity, China, North Korea, Iran, cyber attacks by different state and non-state actors, and certainly the advice to me has been consistent for a long period of time from Duncan Lewis and obviously from Mike Burgess, who's been working in this space as part of the ASD for a long time as well, that we do have at a really peak level an interest from foreign adversaries and people that might collect IP, personal data. We had an intrusion before the election into the major political parties in our country. Government departments have been hacked. The ANU obviously has had multiple attacks. So people aren't imagining this, and we need to look at it in a measured way. But there's no sense in pretending that there's not an issue. We're a sovereign nation. We have a great deal of respect for the growth of China, for the way in which China needs to grow to help people into its middle class, and we want to be part of that growth, and they're a very important trading partner. But for Australia, we exert our sovereignty as any other nation does, and as you would expect. So we'll call out behaviours where we think it's not in our national interest, and I suspect other countries will do the same.
Minister, China is so sensitive when it comes to us having these domestic debates. We've seen that in the past over foreign interference legislation. We've seen China react in this last 24 hours to Andrew Hastie's comments. Are you worried about how his comments might affect our bilateral relationship?
No, I'm not, because the Chinese understand the depth of the relationship. There's obviously a significant trading partnership that takes place, but there's also many other aspects of government where we work very closely with the Chinese. For example, we work closely with China in the law enforcement space because we want to disrupt imports of amphetamine, of all sorts of illicit substances, including tobacco, into our country. So we have a very close trading relationship, a very close law enforcement relationship, and that will continue. But as China will stand up for its national interests, so will we.
Do you agree with Andrew Hastie?
I don't have any comment to make in relation to Andrew's statement other than what I've said in the last 24 hours, and that is that I think Andrew Hastie deserves the respect of all people in Parliament. I think he's served his country with great distinction. I think he's doing that in Parliament now through his work on the Backbench Committee, and Andrew's privy to a lot of information and intelligence briefings that other members of Parliament aren't. He obviously has a very significant interest in this space, as do many members of the Labor Party who I've spoken to privately as well. So I think from our perspective as a government, we're very keen to point out the positives in our relationship with China, and they are many and varied. But also, as I said before, there's no sense pretending that there's nothing to see here. We have concerns in relation to other nations within our Pacific region as well. I know that the UK and our other Five Eyes partners are concerned about foreign interference in their own countries. So I think we need to have a mature debate and pretend that there's nothing happening here. Pretending that just is not realistic.
You are seeking to strengthen the character test to keep people out of our country that you deem not of good character, the government deems not of good character. Why do you want more power than you already do? You do have broad-ranging power. And, you know, could this potentially see someone who's been convicted of shoplifting be kicked out of Australia?
No, so this has obviously been brought forward by the Immigration Minister. I'm not the Immigration Minister, that's David Coleman. And it comes off a body of work undertaken by a parliamentary committee, frankly with excellent leadership from Jason Wood and others on the committee, that spoke to victims of crime, people that had seen their own children suffer at the hands of some of these criminals. We've had a real focus on trying to cancel visas of people that have committed sexual offences against children and women in particular, people who have been involved in drug trafficking and other serious and organised crimes. So we've been able to cancel 7 times the number of criminal visas than the Labor Party did when they were in government, and I think this reflects the community standard. People in our country are very welcoming of visitors. As a government, we're very welcoming, appreciative of the investment that people make when they come here as tourists. But if you come here and commit a crime against an Australian citizen and you're a non-citizen, you can expect to be deported.
Just finally, given you are in New South Wales, wouldn't have escaped your attention that the New South Wales Parliament did pass decriminalising abortion laws through the lower house last night. Gladys Berejiklian didn't speak to this bill, and we haven't heard much from the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. Should there have been more leadership on the issue?
Well, look, I mean, Gladys and her decisions, obviously, it's an issue for her. It's been a state government vote, obviously, that took place last night. I expressed my views in relation to it. I thought that 22 weeks was too late in the cycle, in the term, and I thought, as I said last week, if I was in the New South Wales Parliament, I wouldn't have voted for it. But look, these are issues for parliamentarians in New South Wales. Obviously, there was a recent debate in Queensland as well, and people made their views known there. But this is a debate that's taken place in New South Wales, and I'm not going to second-guess Gladys's position or how she's conducted herself in the issue. It's a personal issue, and these are conscience votes, and people make decisions based on their own life experiences and views, and that's an issue for each and every individual in the New South Wales Parliament.
Minister, we appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Laura.